October. Now, did I say what year?
No, you didn't.
Okay, there you go.
No, I said October.
You said August. You said August.
But I didn't say what year.
True enough. All right.
We've got to put a little bit of pressure on there. It's like, come on, guys, let's show
See, this is the trouble with something that's not, you don't actually have to have surgery. I mean, we're not coming out of business, we don't get it up and running. That's why it's just the nature of things.
Well, it is. The only issue I have with it is you're screwing up our budget here now. Because
That's what we talk about here.
Oh, hey, I've been in here.
Is Tom seen him?
Yeah. Okay.
That's from the last meeting.
it's on who's watch.
Good morning, everyone. It's 9 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask you to join me, rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I should say right off, this is our annual meeting of the Sales Area Fire Authority, and the order of business is to essentially organize ourselves for the next year. First of all, I note the presence of a quorum, and then ask if there's any public comment. Seeing none, proceed to old business, which is approval of minutes from the January 21st, 2014 annual meeting, which are included in your packet.
Yeah, I remember that well. I would make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
There's a motion on the table to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approval of the meeting from January 2014 indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion is agreed to. New business, election of officers. Let me make a sort of an opening statement here. We did public comment, there was not. The election of officers, I haven't had no discussions with anyone about continuing in service. I would hope that all the officers, secretary, treasurer, vice chair, would continue. I think we function fairly well. I'm willing to continue as chair. Having said that, if there's someone else that wants this position, now's the time to speak up. Hearing none, yeah, right, it's going to happen. I would then entertain, in the absence of any other motions, a motion to approve a slate of candidates that would continue all the officers in their current positions.
Just as a comment, I read, and I don't know if it applies here or not, I read a little ditty in the MTA news that everybody had to be done individually. I'm not certain if that applies to us or not.
We have no bylaws, so I don't know what basis of law and regulation that is. I suspect it's a bylaws issue. We can do it individually if
It doesn't matter. At that point,
it's just a time saver.
At that point, I would make a motion to consider re-election of our chair, Rod Anderson, our secretary, Linda Riley, vice chair, myself, treasurer, Kirk Kozak.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, asking all those in favor of the motion as stated, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. The motion is agreed to, and we are all here for one more year. Committee assignments. We will recall that last year we essentially disbanded the two standing committees. Again, let's keep in mind that we, not having bylaws, the terms under which these committees operate is nebulous to say the least, which is, I think, one reason why we didn't want to go forward with them. I just would like the sense of the council, the board, do we want to go forward with the same position, essentially not staff those committees and basically deal with this as we're small enough as it is, so. I think we would need a motion to, well, we frankly, I'm not sure we do need a motion. We disbanded them last year, we're deciding
We
not
just
to.
don't have them, so I would agree with you. I think things are functioning just fine the way they are. When we need input, we have people that take care of it. That's leave it be. Leave it be.
I agree.
Okay, fair enough. So, in the absence of a motion to form committees, we'll move on. Okay, meeting time. We're currently meeting at this hour. I think it's, we have pretty good video, and I think that scratches the itch of accountability and transparency because of the hour. I don't like holding the meeting during working hours, but we all know the issues with trying to schedule local government meetings in the evening, and we have, township officials here that have other things to do with their time. So, I guess I'm not proposing that we change anything. Is there any sentiment on anyone to?
I would agree to leave it alone.
Okay. All right. So,
Need a motion
We
to
need-
set the dates.
let's,
and
yeah, well, let's move to,
Meeting schedule.
yeah, let's go to the regular meeting schedule. It's listed in the packet. It is, all these are third
And it has a
Tuesday,
timer
right?
on it.
Can I ask a favor for February though? I'm gonna be on vacation in February. Do we either go to the 2nd or the 4th Tuesday?
We talked about this, Jim. You're in Florida, so I think you just need to take us with you.
Yeah, we'll hold the meeting in
You can take one of
Daytona.
the.
I'm okay with that.
You can take one of the trucks. We'll.
I'm okay.
Okay, all right, the proposal is to move it from the 17th to,
Either the 10th or 24th.
is there any discussion on that? Is everybody okay with that?
I'm flexible, so.
Yeah, the 17th I'm going also.
Okay,
Pick one.
well,
24th is considered an election day.
okay, so,
The 10th is
It's a-
okay.
so we'll move that to the 10th then.
Okay.
All right, so,
Thank you.
Mhm.
The 10th is what we.
February,
Yeah.
we go to 10.
Mhm.
I used to live in Florida, it's not that great, yeah.
Way overrated.
Right, especially in February. Any other changes suggested for this? Okay,
Typically Tuesday tends not to hit any holidays or anything, so.
all right.
Linda, what were you saying about election day in May?
24th is considered an election day, and if anybody knows an election, so that one's always held open for an election, February 24th. We don't
Oh,
currently have one
okay.
scheduled, but it is considered an election day. I don't know if the cities have one at all.
All right, I would entertain a motion then to accept the regular meeting schedule for 2015 as amended.
I so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. And we have our schedule set for 2015. This will be posted, can we also get it online? If it's not, when it's, okay. We're not legally, but that's matter of correct. Okay, final thing, annual meeting is scheduled for the 19th of January, 2016. Are there any preliminary discussion on that? If not,
Should be fine.
I'll entertain a motion to set that date.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
moved and seconded to set the next annual meeting date Tuesday, January 19th at 9 a.m. All those, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. And we will meet next January on the 19th. Okay, with that, so we're basically doing our business for the annual meeting. Is there any public comment? So I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second? Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? None. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. And we are adjourned. We will move directly into our regular meeting. So we're, got a lot to do today. First of all, call the regular meeting to order and ask us once again to rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, I note the presence of the quorum. First of all, I ask for the approval of the regular agenda, and I do have some changes. So, here we go.
How did I know that?
Right, first of all, we're gonna delete item 8B, which is the status of union negotiations, because we know what the status is. The draft contract has been completed, and we'll begin to consider that in a closed session. So 8B is deleted, that's a good thing. A minor change in item 9D, substitute treasurer Kosak for 7th role John Anderson. It's just that things have to be brought to the board by trustees. At least that's the way I like to do it. In the absence of bylaws, there's no controlling authority. Anyway, I'd like to add a new 9E. Call it institutional services account application. I know it's mysterious, but it's a bureaucratic thing. It should be relatively quick. It has to do with a change in ownership for the banks that manage our funds. Relatively straightforward. I'd like to add a new item 13, which will follow public comment. And that would be a closed strategy session in connection with the collective bargaining agreement. I also like to add a new number 14 for board action following the closed session. And for the public that will not be in the closed session, we only anticipate setting up a meeting for the next review of the contract. We can't, there are no circumstances in which we're approving any contract today, so it's not gonna be an earth-shattering, I don't anticipate it being earth-shattering. So I'm not sure, well, you all have to make your own judgments whether you wanna stick around. And then finally, renumber old number 13 to 15, that will be the adjournment. So, you get all those changes? Okay. So, are there any other changes, modifications, deletions? Okay, great. Having said that, I would then entertain a motion to approve the regular agenda as modified.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion's moved, second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval of the regular agenda as amended indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion is agreed to. Consent agenda, would ask approval of, which consists of three elements. First of all, approval of the minutes, and there are two sets of minutes, the minutes from our regular meeting and from our special session. And we have a copy of everybody had a chance to look at the closed session? Okay, so that's the first item. The second item is approval of invoices paid, and then a review of the treasurer's report, so I'll give everyone a minute or two to refresh their review of those elements, which are lengthy.
Would it be possible to go back to spelling my name correctly and
Can I pass you up?
Is that B? How do you spell it?
A-I?
Oh,
M-A-I-E.
okay, that was B, I'm sorry. I'm not good on names.
You're close.
What's that, minutes?
It's,
It's
yes, it's
every-
minutes.
in the.
Or it's in the
In
agenda.
the agenda.
Down here too.
Yeah.
That would be amended as part of the amendment.
So when we're ready, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda when we're ready to go. I don't want to rush anybody. Is there a motion?
I would refrain only because I was not in attendance the last time, so if someone else would make the motion,
Mine did
please.
the minutes, so.
So moved.
Okay, well, you're making a motion by trustee Osborne. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approval of the consent agenda indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Consent agenda is approved. Public comment? Anyone? Okay, thank you. Chief's report. Chief Bear.
Okay. A lot of things. Actually, the first thing I just want to touch on a little bit about is we are part of two county grants. First county grant is for self-contained breathing apparatus, protective clothing, and rapid intervention training. The second grant is for they're both federal grants, for a fire trailer, live fire training trailer. Ann Arbor Fire Department's taking the lead on that. That would provide the ability for each department in the county to do live fire training for their employees, for their firefighters, which would be a great asset to the county, as well as we would score some extra points in ISO with the ability to have that. Some other things, ongoing things. We need to, the board needs to decide, Station 2 is not ready, so we're gonna continue to pay Dexter for coverage for Lyman Township, and we have not made any provisions in our current budget for that because the anticipation was the station was going to be completed. Based on everything we were told, it was supposed to be done by the first of the year. Along with that, I was asked to do an organizational chart. This is the current employees we have. It has data hire, the positions, all that information. This information will be going up on the web, so it'll have the organizational chart. It'll have a picture of each of the employees. So if there's any more information than that the board would like to see, we're working on that. On other ongoing things, contact with Jiffy and asked for their emergency information that they have in-house. I've been working on an emergency response plan for Jiffy. The plan is to have that in place this summer. Along with that, the intent is to also do Chelsea Grain at the same time. And we get Jiffy, kind of use Jiffy's as a kind of a format for the format, I guess, for an emergency plan. So we're in the process of doing that. Also, I was asked to come up with the specific cost of what a paid on-call person is. I'm working on those costs. I'm waiting to get information back from our HR company, so that I can break that out. I've got a lot of the stuff done, but hopefully that should be done next month. And there was one other question that came up as far as budget goes. The question was, we use the county information when we're preparing the budget, and those numbers seem to be off, and I found out that what we're currently doing is the monies that are collected in that particular year go into that particular budget. So 2014, everything that's collected in 2014 goes on 2014, same thing with 2015. So the township's collecting money in the fall up until February. Those 2014 funds will get rolled into 2015. So after all the tax collections are done, I'm gonna take and get with all the local municipalities and actually see what the actual collection was, so that when we go into the next budget year, we can have the actual dollars that were collected as opposed to just the rollover of funds, if you will, I guess, so. Other than that, a lot of training going on. We're doing a lot of in-service training at this point. HR company, we're gonna be meeting once a month to help develop some of the strategies that we need to move forward in terms of some of the HR things, some of the HR training and those kinds of things. So we've got a lot of things going on, so.
Thank you. Questions for the comments for Chief?
Just a comment, good report,
Yeah.
thank you.
I was just gonna say the same thing. Totally.
Good job.
Yes, excellent. And that's another thing, the public doesn't get to see the written reports, but are they accessible over the web? I don't know that they are.
Yeah, the board packet is on, but I know that last board meeting, one of the things that Vincent brought up is to try to get those to the news media so that they are in fact published. So we'll try to work with Chelsea Updates here and so sometimes. So
I think it would be a good idea to pull the chief's report out, as, I mean, it's one thing to have it available, but to have to dig into the packet.
I agree.
That's another thing, so.
I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah. So let's do that. Any other? Okay, great, thank you. So we are completed the chief's report. On to unfinished business. The first item is the status of the township, the Lima Township substation we've been talking about.
It's looking very, very nice from the outside, I can say. I've seen some interior work going on also. Any guess at a occupation date? I do not have. Do you, Jim?
No, the information that Scott provided me was the plans have been sent to Vince Peters with Dexter Builders, and he is supposed to be, and they've had him for approximately a week, so they're in the process of developing the cost for the renovation, so the interior renovations. But I agree, the building looks nice. He's done an awesome job with it. The addition that was where he squared off the building added a tremendous amount of space to the building.
It looks much
gonna be
more
something-
attractive too.
Yes, it's gonna be something I think at the end of the day we're gonna be proud of.
Have we included any signage in the refurbishment costs?
Not yet, we're still waiting on the total cost so we can add, figure that in, so,
Or we're planning to do that?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
At this point, we're, without having started any interior modifications, we're still working on Bob's side.
Yeah, understood.
So-
But I was, can we get a Ron estimate of when this might, again, I don't want to hold you to it, but if we say a month for completion of the planning and 2 months for the actual work, are we talking 3 months down the road? Is that,
Ask them to come up with a timeline.
Yeah,
I think we need to have some estimate of when this might be done.
I agree.
I would say your guesstimate is probably not out of line. Although there's days I go by there and all the squirrels are harvesting their nuts, and there's days I go by there and there's no squirrels. So you never know from one day to the next how much activity is really taking place down there.
Well, for a lot of reasons, this is a fundamental, I mean, I think the fact that we've done this, I think, so far fairly efficiently, and it is an increase in service at lower cost, so it's both sweet spots. But the fact that it's starting to look like it's a permanent back burner item, I would like to name a date, and then if we don't hit that date, then we really start asking the hard, we should be asking the hard questions now, but some of the delays have been understandable. It is a significant change, but you know, there's a limit to patience.
Well, I agree. I'm having a hard time understanding why things are dragging on as long as what they are. Initially, we said, okay, it's because it was deer season, and probably most of our guys were off deer hunting. And then it became, well, it's the holidays, so
Right.
maybe everybody's off for the holidays, and we're rapidly running out of excuses.
Let's at least informally, if the board concurs, we would like to get a ROM estimate of completion date, and then that will be the date at which, if we don't get, if that date is missed, we need somebody
Agreed.
here to tell us in person why that was not.
Agreed.
Is that, or is
Jim,
that
let's-
so far enough?
Let's
Does anybody wanna-
do that.
They should be able to come up with a timeline for us.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
and-
I don't see why not.
I don't either.
It's,
Because I agree.
It's several, A, timeline, B, if you need the timeline, and if you don't, we need to know why.
Mhm,
Okay?
Exactly.
I don't think we need a motion on that.
No.
Okay.
No, but we'll handle that.
All right, great, thank you. Well, item B, status of union negotiations was skipped. Status of HR outsourcing, I'm gathering from, it's starting to look, I mean, we're starting to get return on our investment.
Yeah, we have, they've been doing a lot for us, as far as payroll goes, that's moving. Kim has been working, between, Your Source and Seventh Rule. But we are in the process, she's done a lot of review of our, she's done our HR audit. She's been working on personnel files and I-9s and all those kinds of things, and like I said earlier, the plan is for them to come out once a month and meet, and we will, come up with a monthly, short and long-term strategy on what we want to accomplish. So yes, it's been a really good addition.
Could you,
Are
go
they
ahead.
gonna start doing some reporting to us as the board also?
Yes, yes. They would have come this month, but in all honesty, I asked them not to come this month because of everything that was going on.
So they'll
So,
be- they'll be
so
here next month.
we could have them out
Yeah,
next month,
yeah,
they'd be
here
happy to come
monthly,
out.
yeah.
Sure.
You're right, yeah. I agree with that, at least until we have a level of confidence going forward. that
Sure.
Things are under control.
Mhm.
So, monthly report. And, you know, we can have if they want to give a presentation, we can set some time aside for that. That would be a good one to kick it off.
And there is a progress report in the packet of things that they have in fact, accomplished and are working on, so.
Yeah, they were very helpful in developing the contract, the employee contract, so. And that's not even moving to. Okay, any other questions for Jim on the HR outsourcing? Okay, fine. Next item is bylaws. Given, they're in the packet, I don't propose we spend a lot of time on this today because we have so much else to do, but what I would suggest going forward, not having received a lot of feedback, but there's a big chunk of that package that relates to the operation of committees because of basically historic purposes. I could simplify that document by pulling that stuff out, if that's the board's desire, or could bring it back next time, put it in the packet, and we approve or disapprove. So I guess I would ask the board's, what's the board's pleasure on that? I mean, we're looking at this thing every month, and at some point, we've got to decide. We really do need to have bylaws in place to tell us how we should be doing business, so. Comments?
I would only state that so far, what we've done with just informal committees, if you will, for instance, Jim and I worked a little line this up, what have you, that seems to function quite well. I don't know that you really need all that verbiage and everything in there, in the bylaws. Now that being said, it's not to say that several years from now, the entire face of the board could change.
Right.
And that might be necessary, so I guess I would ask the rest of the board to have a look at that, but at the moment, I don't see the necessity for it.
Other comments? Is that, you,
I pretty much agree with you, Craig.
okay.
Yes.
So is the sense then I can pull all that stuff out and we'll go with the bylaws? Let's keep in mind, the council, the board can change at any time. I mean, this is just a simple vote by so if we do see the need for a committee, we can plug it back. Okay, I'll do that. No motion needed. Okay, status of the agreement, this is item E. Status of the agreement with Chelsea on the fire station, that is also in your packet. Again, reviewed the bidding on this. Our auditor has called this out as really the only discrepancy in our financial operation. The fact that there's no agreement in place between us and the city of Chelsea on our use of the fire station. So I asked Mike Bloom to develop a draft document. He gave me one. Basically, it was a lease type thing, and there was a lot of pro-landlord language and a little bit of tenant language. I did a massive restructuring of that, and the result is there for your review. Now, what this is, that we will, once the board is comfortable with this, and I think this is the first time you've seen this, is that it will go to the city, and the city will review it, and then we'll come to a final document that we both will approve. So this is not the final approval. This is essentially to approve a draft that we forward to the city. So it's there for your review. There are just a couple of things I want to mention. They're mainly in the change in focus was CAFA is responsible for building operation, building upkeep, and that sort of thing. And that's the way it's been functioning. I think that's the way we anticipated. Chelsea has no relation to that building anymore. It's under Chelsea responsibilities, though.
My concern is here, says here under E, CAFA shall perform all necessary, says exterior painting and repair to the exterior of the building. That makes CAFA now responsible for all these repairs we're getting quoted on the problems with the building?
I think it does.
Yes.
Basically, the way I looked at it was, we're taking over this building, but it's on a lease as opposed to a purchase.
Correct. The building is still owned by the city.
Right, but, I mean, when CAFA was originally established, what was the trade-off? What did Chelsea get for being very generous and providing that building?
It got the fire department to stay within the city.
So that's the benefit to Chelsea. And the trade-off was that we would not pay any, CAFA would not pay rent. And we've sort of been going along like that. If Chelsea turned around and said we want $1,000 a month in rent, then we'd have, then you could argue that they should be paying that money to fix the foundation. So, if there's nothing in here that conflicts with anything that was, when CAFA was set up originally in the Articles of Incorporation,
this looks like, to me, looks like a good deal for CAFA. And I think the foundation issue is specifically addressed here in E, which will say CAFA is responsible for it. And I think if we want, like I've said in the past, if we want a contribution from Chelsea, then we should do it through, maybe we should, a group of us should go to the DDA and point out to them, we would appreciate
Right.
some help. If you look at the chief's report and, the number of responses, I mean, Chelsea had 74 some incidents that CAFA responded to. The rest of the townships don't come anywhere close to that, and that might be something we could argue from the DDA saying,
Right. True, if you look at actual structure fires versus medical emergencies, the numbers change quite a bit. I mean, it's the old, the same issue at 805 West Middle Street, the prime user of, but point taken. The other thing I would like to point out is under Chelsea's responsibility, I've left the language under paragraphs A, B, and C in there. If we look at those, that's asking Chelsea to do, basically carry out ownership at some level of this building. I don't know, I mean, got my CAFA hat on here, and I have no idea if the city council would go along with this. I guess I would ask the board's sense on whether it would be acceptable just to eliminate those as requirements, or not.
eliminate what?
These are under Chelsea's responsibilities. There are the three paragraphs I'm concerned about. Paragraph A, insurance, and paragraph B, it's liability insurance. And then if the premises are destroyed, we expect Chelsea to repair it. And I don't think that's gonna happen. I mean, if that building was, if it was hit by a meteorite, then I don't think
It'd be a parking lot.
Yeah, turn it into a parking lot. And,
But if it's insured for that, they'd get the money and.
if they insure it, that's back in paragraph A. But if they did insure it, if they did have insurance, again, I'm not sure we can anticipate that they actually would rebuild it.
And I'm just guessing, but I would imagine it's insured now underneath their blanket policy
Right.
for all their other assets.
Right.
I would assume. And of course, you know what assumptions get you. But that being said, I would also think, given the long-term train of thought that Chelsea typically wants a fire station presence in the downtown area, I would suspect that they would rebuild the facility, just to maintain that presence. Now, Chief had me down here a couple weeks ago, and we did identify some other issues in the easterly bay of where the trucks are parked, and we don't know for certain if the drainage structure there is the culprit, or if perhaps over the course of the years, a couple water main breaks there, if that washed out some of the material underneath some of the concrete slabs. But you can detect when you back the trucks in there now, that some of the other slabs also have some movement, and you can see water come up in some of the joints and whatnot too.
We have a separate agenda item we want to talk
Okay,
about that.
okay.
I think it's an important thing. Thanks for bringing it up. But so let's. What's the board's sense? Go forward with this. Go forward with those paragraphs in, out, some of them in.
I think it's a very well-written contract. I would leave those things in there.
Okay. All right.
And
All right, maybe I would ask for a motion, just as a formality, if the board is comfortable with this document. Again, it's not final, it's just a draft document that we actually will share with another municipality. So I would entertain a motion to approve the building agreement as presented, building use agreement as presented.
And I so move and to then have Rod Anderson take it to the Chelsea City Council for review.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion is agreed to, okay.
I will give that to you, because you had made comments down through
Right.
here, so I have my scribblage
Oh, okay,
along with, so you can
sure, thanks.
see what.
Rod, one point here, for term, is this a 1 year, a 2 year?
It's not stated, is it?
No.
No, I don't believe it was.
Maybe,
Ongoing.
you know, that's one of the things the city council might, you know, be interested, you could try it for a year.
Right.
See how it goes, or you could, I mean, this isn't, or is, you know, is this written as if it's in perpetuity until somebody
Well, either,
closes it?
I mean, we can terminate it on 6 months' notice. And so,
At the speed of government, a year is not much time.
right,
No.
I would, if and when we come to a final agreement on this, I would suggest that it be in perpetuity until changed by mutual agreement of both parties.
well, I'm a little, we can talk about that. I'm a little uncomfortable with that because, let's say we,
Or at least 5 years.
well, if we wanted to move, and we had good reasons to move, and we could provide better services at lower cost to the entire area by moving, then we want to do it and not have that be vetoed by another municipality. So I guess I would, the language in here is that we can get out with 6 months' notice. And if that's what we need to do, that's what we'll do. And, you know,
I'm just curious what Mike Blum was thinking, why he didn't say
give us a term.
specify a term. There may be some reason why he
Yeah.
purposely did it that way, or, I thought a contract needed to have a term.
Well, it's an agreement. Well, maybe maybe, okay, fine. I'll
I
ask.
don't know what he's thinking.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. We'll look into that. All right, let's move right on. Get that here by when? 10, 15?
About 10-15,
Okay,
so
let's keep going.
we've got time now.
Next item is review the chief's contract, and this is, let me give you a little of the background here. We've reviewed this, and I think it was December, I guess it was December's meeting that the board asked me to come up with a revised version, and I started to look into it and found that I think there was really a need for essentially a rewrite of the contract. And there are two sources that I used. One was your source, which was very helpful in terms of reviewing and suggesting changes and providing a template. And there was there were actually, FEMA has draft fire chief employment agreement templates, which I used those too. Now, there are changes in here. This is not a Jim Payer contract. This is a contract for the fire chief. So these changes were, by and large, not set up with a view towards the current situation. Because as we all said, we're all more than satisfied with the outstanding job that Jim has done. He's renewed his contract, and this is the agency to do that. Nevertheless, there's language that it is our responsibility as a oversight agency to ensure that certain things happen, and that's why the language is in there. For example, there's language in there about for-cause termination. We don't anticipate that we will need to terminate the fire chief for cause. Nevertheless, the language needs to be in the contract. before Jim has some comments on this, but let me just tick off the things I would like the board specifically to review and approve. First of all, I added an automatic 1-year extension. In other words, if the board does nothing, you go for another year. Okay? There are now notification and approval for outside activities. Jim is an exempt employee. We expect him, or the fire chief, to consider this their one and only prime responsibility. Now, we're all professionals and we have other activities outside. We don't want to preclude that. And Jim and I have been having some discussions. I feel strongly that the board at least needs to be notified, and perhaps approval is not necessary. I think it currently says approval. I would not dispute if we wanted to remove that term, but I think approval is necessary because we need to know if you need to take a week off in August for your outside efforts. And again, we're not trying to stop that, but it's important that we know about it. I mean, as a matter of disclosure. So that's number 2. Compensation. I'll leave the numbers in. Jim's numbers are a little different. I would like to go with his numbers, and just for the record, I think we're talking about year 1, 74.2, and year 2, 76. We also have an issue with, not an issue, but a difference of agreement on the compensation, specifically the benefits. I think as a matter of policy, we need to provide our fire chief with at least the same level of benefits that is available to other staff, which means, of course, in this currently the union. I don't want to put those words in the contract, and the primary reason for that is that's subject to interpretation. If you say, I want my benefits have to be better than those benefits, well, if you're comparing 2 benefit packages, it's not always clear which one is better. Some elements of that will be better than others. So you get into this morass of trying to interpret that. I'm willing to go with naming the benefit packages with an understanding that that can be modified, enhanced by the board as need be. Jim can comment on that. And finally, goals and duties. These were derived from a number of documents, some of which were part of his evaluation. And Jim has made an excellent point, is that he needs to be evaluated on specific criteria, and that's what that's intended to do. And it's in the contract. And Kurt, I think you've raised this issue a number of times as well, is that we need to have a contract that includes goals, and that's what this is intended to do. So with that, I'll, before I turn it over to the board, Jim, ask you to bring up any thoughts you had on this.
The only thoughts I had is that, is there's a couple language things I'd like to have, wait till my attorney comes back with, a comparable with, language. I don't think is a big, huge thing. I don't have a problem with, naming the benefits, and spelling them out of contract, but I just, we have always kept our benefits, the same. I mean, they're, the firefighters in Monmouth, it's always been the same, so I'd like to be able to see that, maintained, so.
Understood.
Question, it says, 2-person health and dental. I know you're raising 2 of your grandchildren. Are they currently on your insurance?
Yeah, they changed
So
that
that's-
years ago.
See, that's
So-
an area where I know that there's 4 in that household,
Yeah.
not 2.
Right.
So,
It's just family.
We have
Yes,
guardians.
they have custody.
We have guardians.
Yeah, they're guardians.
so 2-person doesn't mean husband, wife, it means 2
No,
additional.
just be family, because we're,
Family rather
Well, you want to put family, otherwise it makes it look like you're
Right.
limiting it to 2 persons.
yes.
Yes, so we want to change that.
Family.
Family, okay. Good question. Thanks, Linda. Okay.
The other thing that came up was, source of, discussion was the vehicle.
Yeah.
Saline gives their chief $6,000 a year. Dexter gives theirs $6,300 a year for vehicle allowance. And Ann Arbor Township provides a, four-wheel drive vehicle for theirs. So one of the things that I spoke to Rod about was changing, I guess, the vehicle allowance to $6,000 a year then. Because I don't feel I should take a pay cut, so adjust it and brought the salary up, and so, I mean, basically, it's the same that was budgeted for, but it would reduce what the vehicle allowance would end up being, so.
All right,
It's 700.
any issue with that?
No, that's not correct in there.
What's that?
Yeah, if you look at the
700,
700,
right.
you'd be paying them
Yeah,
a
Right,
lot more than that.
right, so.
so where we need to go is the board needs to identify what changes they want to make. We'll finalize it and authorize me to sign it. If you're comfortable with doing that at today's meeting, fine. We still have one more meeting before this has to be signed. We could, indicate the changes. And Jim still needs to hear back from his lawyers, so I guess we're not finalizing anything today. But the board would identify what changes they need to make, or I need to make, we need to make.
Sure.
We'll finalize that document after hearing from, presumably nothing earth-shattering will occur from the legal review, and then bring it back next month for final approval. We'll sign it right after that.
Okay.
So,
Could I make one comment?
absolutely, yeah.
Back in the day, there was a commonplace thing for salary employees, and it held true here with the city. We always just called it the Me Too clause, if you will. So if for instance, the union MERS goes from a B2 to a B3, but chief's contract said still a B2, then it automatically went to a B3. It's something of that nature, if you understand where
Right.
I'm getting at there.
If
So,
that relates to it relates to the benefits question. If it has that level of specificity, if it identifies a plan, I guess I will be okay with that.
mhm.
But my problem is that the plans differ in any way. I mean, they're different vendors, for example.
True.
So,
I don't think we can, I mean, we're small enough, I don't think we're gonna be able to do that. That's why,
okay.
part of it is that, we're keeping the plans the same, because we're thought of as one unit, so. That's why I don't think the Me Too clause is a bad thing, and that's what was in the last one, so.
Well, was it?
It was for salary increases, so.
It was for salary increase, but it
Yeah.
wasn't for
For
benefits.
NAFTA benefits. And
But
I would
you're
say,
okay with naming the list in here
Yes.
as it is, okay.
Craig, the one problem, if the chief is in a negotiating position, then it would be a conflict of interest.
that's true.
Yeah, appearance.
That's true.
Yeah, right. That's the other, yeah, good point.
Good
Yeah.
point, because typically, we never were.
Right,
Right.
so. No, we can spell those out, that's fine.
Okay, so far I've heard modify the numbers to 6,000 for, everybody's okay with that? 6,000, and then the revised compensation is 74.2 and 76.
Family.
And the family change, is there any other changes we want to make?
Just go back and name them.
I would-
76.
Suggest that perhaps we table this until everybody sees the union contract.
We're gonna get another look at this.
Right.
Yeah.
So, well, actually, I'm not even sure we need to vote on anything.
Well, that's
But
why I didn't make a
in
motion.
essence, yeah, in essence, well, a tabling is a motion.
We can just
Right.
say discuss, no action taken.
Exactly.
Right.
But I will make these changes
Mhm.
pending that and the
Mhm.
union, but since it's not, okay. Your point being that if the union contract benefits, for example, changed, then we would have to modify this to
Yes.
point taken, okay. excellent point, so,
My suggestion would be to, as Tom said, get a look at the union negotiations. You can then move forward and adjust as necessary in here in the contract, ensuring that it stays
Right.
within budget. Bring it back to us next month, or if a special meeting's required, and have a look at it and a final review, if you will, and then move forward with it.
or not, okay. I do wanna, everybody's comfortable with the year option, I did put, we hadn't talked about that before, okay?
I think that's reasonable. If we have a 2-year contract and,
pretty short.
and the board takes no action for one reason or another, I believe it only fair to the chief that it automatically extend rather than just
Yeah,
leave you hanging, if you will.
yeah.
I would also like to add language that would presumably be a cost of living increase in compensation for that year. The board comfortable with that? I mean, we could, you know, peg it to the cost of living.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Any other, I mean, I just want to get us, make sure the board is, you know, I'm not asking for a formal approval today, but everybody's comfortable with this as it is. Any other comments, questions, issues? Jim, you? Okay. All right, don't need a motion on that one, so let's move forward. We're actually making pretty good progress here. All right, main station structure status, wow, committee estimates. Craig, you were beginning to talk about this, so if you would brief us all on the condition of the floor and lecture.
Chief had asked me to come up here, what was I gonna say, a couple, 3 weeks ago. Several of the guys had noticed that when they would back one of the vehicles in the easterly bay, that you could detect, I wouldn't say movement of the concrete slabs, but you could certainly see water and whatnot come up out of some of the cracks in the floor, which basically tells you that the slabs are shifting in there. So there may be some issues in there too. As I said before, it could have been from one of the several water main breaks that had happened up there that caused washing of some of that material up from underneath those slabs. It could very well be, there is a drainage structure right there in that area. There's a possibility you could have a leaking joint or a broken pipe or something in there. We don't know at this point. Once again, I'm back to being disappointed in contractors. The outfit that I had that was supposed to get us some prices on the helical piles and structural work and whatnot to be done in there, I have not heard from, that's gotta be 6-8 weeks now. So that's pretty much where we stand at this point. We know there's some deficiencies in there. To move forward, I would like the price on the helical piles that, in order to shore up the northwest corner of the building there, as was indicated on some of the plans. We may well have to have somebody come in, which could be done pretty inexpensively, and just sneak a camera down that drain tile from the drainage structure and see if that is an immediate cause. Maybe that's all we have to do is repair that or line it or something. And then look at the possibility of either concrete jacking, which they can bore holes in and pump grout down in there and retain the current floor that we have, or possibly remove it, put down new sub-base and re-pour the floor in there. So that's kind of where we stand on that.
Okay, thank you, very, very thorough report. So we do have some additional issues here. Question I have is that, is there any immediate safety implications related to what we now know about, say, that we always know the structure of the walls has been, or the fill, but this is kind of a new event. Is this a safety issue in any way?
Not being a qualified engineer, but I would say no. Typically, when you see something like this, yes, you know you've got a problem there. Yes, some of the concrete may continue to fracture and break. I doubt that there's a truck swallowing void underneath the structure.
So it may collapse and.
Correct. So you know, but at that point, it's anybody's guess, but I would doubt that,
You know,
just from what we've seen.
yeah, I think it's hard to, as it happens, my son-in-law's a professor of structural engineering. I asked him about this, and in general, he hasn't investigated it, but he was concerned because the flexure that I've been told was about 1/2 inch in concrete, and concrete doesn't flex very well.
No.
So
No.
I think it's gonna get, now, if it gives an inch or gives a foot, there could be a lot of energy release. So I don't wanna be an alarmist, but I think if there's we certainly ought to explore the easy way of assessing what the issue is, but if we need to spend more than a few dollars to resolve this, I think we need to do it. I mean, that's my perspective. And, like, you know, if the board needs to decide if we want to, money is, we're basically, we have no excess cash, but we do have a reserve fund, and if this is a safety issue, maybe I'm being an alarmist, but the board, what's the board's druthers on this?
I think the one place to start right away would be the camera.
Yeah,
Get underneath
and
there
it's-
and see what's going on with the floor.
Basically, you're
That's inexpensive.
You're looking at a couple $100 for that, so that's not a large expenditure.
Okay. But then not talking to this. Comments, questions?
Well, I'm in full agreement with you. If the floor's moving, you gotta find out why.
Why, yeah.
Shall we authorize a dollar figure to, $200 is, that's a gimme, but say, if that comes up blank, then we have to take the next step, because it's still there, so.
Sure.
What would be a good number to continue that investigation? At 5,000, 10,000?
Well, in my mind, at that point, let's say you send a camera down that line, there's absolutely no problem with the drainage structure itself. So now we know there's voids underneath the concrete. So at that point, you're up to a command decision of having one of these outfits come in and pump it full of grout.
Well,
I do not know a cost on that,
All right, so
but it's fairly reasonable. Or if, at the worst case scenario, you're talking a complete replacement of it, so, and we can figure that easy enough. Pretty much your guarantee is you take the volume of concrete that you need at,
yeah, right.
give or take $100 per cubic yard, and then double it, which usually gets your labor in there, and you're right in the ballpark.
On the back corner, I'm sorry, but back corner, we have some holes drilled so they can get a camera. We were able to get a camera in there, but it had limited reach. We were able to go in and probe around a little bit, and we could find that we're down a couple inches. So maybe
Underneath the floor.
Yeah, underneath the floor.
We could also drill
So-
some holes if we needed to,
Right.
right?
Yes.
And that's
So-
relatively inexpensive, so.
Yeah. So
If we ought to get a lot of that done for $5,000.
Oh, I would think we could.
Too much?
I would hesitate to guess, but I would say a not to exceed number, absolutely,
It's not
Should,
gonna see, yeah.
should be able to get.
Okay. All right, all
You'd be
right.
able to get that done for considerably less, I would think, but.
I would certainly hope so. It's not an authorization to spend 5,000, but up to, not to exceed. If somebody wants to propose a number, so I'll, I entertain a motion from the board to authorize some not to exceed figure to investigate and if possible mitigate the, what do we call it, the concrete flexure issue.
But I think it should be, just as a comment, Rod, we should work in conjuncture with supporting that northwest corner also.
Sure.
You'd hate to go in there and spend the money on repairing the one slab and still have, it makes sense to do it basically all in one. So I would look at it more as a research opportunity.
Well,
If it is a simple fix,
okay,
fine.
fair enough. So maybe we don't do the mitigation part now. Okay, fair enough. So I will-
maybe the northeast,
Yeah,
the
that was-
northeast end and the northwest end both.
The,
On the easterly side,
What we
you're
are
talking the back of
currently-
the corner?
structurally, the northwest corner is what is having the settling issues. This I would just term as the easterly truck bay.
I'd just say apparatus floor,
Yeah,
because we don't really know,
it's the floor.
yeah,
Yeah, it's the
where,
True.
or how extensive it really is, so.
So moved,
Okay,
$5,000 limit.
$5,000 limit, and it's not mitigation, it's just to,
I was that, you're making the motion?
he's making the motion. Maybe you should read it back.
Authorize and not to exceed amount of $5,000 to investigate and if possible mitigate.
No, not mitigate.
No mitigate.
Investigate the
Evaluate.
northwest corner,
No, it's.
the northwest and the apparatus floor.
Floor, okay. All right, great, good. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion is agreed to, thank you. All right, next item. Accounting firm contract. Treasurer Kosak, would you like to introduce this?
Yeah, just some background information. Seventh Rule, John Anderson has been doing our accounting work for a while, and he's also been doing the payroll. And by us moving to your source, the payroll piece of what he used to do is gone. John felt that he'd like to be have an agreement with us operating under contract. And, I guess I think that's a good idea. The concern I had here, of course, is the fee. In the pricing, John has a monthly booking fee, which I'm assuming is what you currently do. And then compiled financial statements, is that a monthly or is that doing that annually?
Both of these are monthly services. The bookkeeping portion is the check writing and the other account reconciliations and things that we do for the fire department to track the transactions and record those in the books and records. The compiled financial statement is what goes to the board every month, and because you guys put your board packets out publicly, we have to provide a compilation report indicating that we have assembled the financial statements and offer no opinion on that. And because that is made public, that compilation report needs to accompany the financial statements, and so there is a service for that, and we've been providing that, and that's been provided for quite a number of years. We're just trying to bring the contract in line with the actual services and get everything sort of up to standard. There has not been a contract in place for a long time.
All right, in 2014, you were doing all this and charging on a monthly basis?
We were, and we had honored, as you know, we had purchased another CPA firm. We had honored his pricing. He had not raised prices in a multitude of years. As far as we can tell, 2004 was the last time he increased the price. And that was when he took over from another practitioner. So we're just trying to bring the pricing in line with current market standards and for these type of services. and just get this sort of into a more realm. If the payroll had still been there, if that hadn't gone off to your source, that would have been reflected in there too as an additional charge. So it's really just bringing things current from where they've been.
In 2014, a monthly charge would have been
For what?
for everything you had.
For everything that I indicate there, it comes out at $700 a month in the contract. If payroll had been added, that would have been another $250 on top
No,
of
in
what I would
2014, before we had.
Oh,
yours-
2014. Oh, yeah.
Before we had your source, your monthly fee was.
Oh, sorry, $625. It was $625 total.
620, and that included payroll.
That did include the payroll, that's correct.
And now we're looking at a monthly fee of, well, the forms, that's a one-time
Yeah.
per year, right?
Yeah, the forms is a one-time per year
So
for
that's an
1099s, and you guys don't really have 1099s that we need to issue, but we put that in there as a standard contract item in case something was to come up, especially now with you dealing with some contractors in your construction. We may have some 1099s that we have to issue, but if there's none issued, you would not be charged for that.
If your source is doing payroll, wouldn't they then do these forms?
Your source
If you're
does not do
doing-
1099s, they do W-2s and related payroll. 1099s are for independent contractors, consultants, other people,
But the
attorneys, things like
W-2s they
that.
would be doing.
Yes.
On here you have W-2s, and they're already doing the W-2s.
That's a standard line item that we put in that includes W-2s. The W-2s would not be part of that price, but it's all included as a package.
And then in some of your correspondence, I saw you had a $100 credit.
Yes, we're giving you a $100 credit off on the compilation as a discount, sort of courtesy discount on that.
And I don't, is that in this? It seems, I saw the emails, but.
It should be in the contractual information that I gave to Jim. Yes, it is in there, it's reflected as a $100
Is this
discount.
reflected, or is that reflected?
Yeah, last line.
See, right under
Got it.
services and
Yeah.
fees there,
So
other,
those fees, do those fees already reflect that $100 discount?
Yeah, everything in there reflects the
So it's not-
discount. So your price with the discount will be $700 a month.
Right, so what we have, before us is, services that John used to provide, and we were paying about $625 a month. Now it looks like that's gonna go up to $700 a month, with a one-year contract. I think we're at the point where we should sign this for a year. But I think we should also, if you're looking at an $8,000 expenditure, it seems like, we should be going out for bid on something like that.
I think so.
Sounds like we've been getting a pretty good deal for many, many
Really
years.
long time, yeah. It's just unfortunately, my costs are going up, my employee costs are going up. I can't continue to honor a price that's 10 years old.
So, a couple things I think we need to do. I think the chief should go to the other fire departments. You mentioned Dexter, Ann Arbor Township. And take a look at what they're accounting, what it looks like. I think as a board, we haven't been real happy with how financials are reported out to us. They're not, it's not real obviously clear what's happening in regards to finances. The chief, if you could meet with those other fire departments, see what they have, see if there's a preferred way you have of reporting up,
Okay.
if there's something there that you think is better, that's easier to read. Or are you completely happy with?
No, let's take a look at, I think we should look around at the cost. The other thing I'd like to take a look at is
I
Linda,
do my own reports.
and,
every time.
because
We don't pay
Linda's already set up with, and we may be able to, fairly
The
easily.
Multi-Lake Sewer Authority, when they change their structure with a director, instead of hiring someone to do bookkeeping, they have a lady that comes in one day a week for only about 3 or 4 hours, and she does all of this. So there's other options.
Yeah,
You know, certainly if you guys wanna take the financials out and make them management use only, I can certainly lower the price, but the compilation is the issue because you publicly post the financials. That compilation letter needs to be out there and attached, but if you wanna retract those from what's posted on the board and go to a management use only report, I can certainly keep the price where it was or even lower it a little bit. But that's gonna be your decision. I mean, if you publicly post them, they've gotta be because other third parties are relying on that information because they can then see it, and that compilation report needs to be a part of it.
you know, going to the Michigan Township Association seminars and seeing all the accounting firms there and visiting their booths, I still don't like, you know, how they report. And again, I'm not an accountant. If I were an accountant by trade, then maybe all those reports would make a lot of sense to me, but you gotta dumb it down quite a bit for me. So I think, Chief, if you look at some options, and I'd like to see Linda's too, what Linda's doing.
And I can
As
also
well.
put you in touch with the gal that works at.
Yeah, and
at
I'd be happy
Multilex
to.
see if she would be available, and what her cost would be, because she does whatever reports we want for the meeting in whatever format we want.
Because
And
I'm
it's
not
in
an
Quick-
accountant either.
It's in QuickBooks, just like you currently.
I will point out that if you're not using a CPA, there is nobody else except CPAs that can issue compiled financials. So that person would not be able to provide you with compiled financial statements.
She works with Pat Hannaford, he's their auditor, so she could work with our own auditor.
Given those facts, what I heard before, Kurt, was that you would recommend that we go ahead and approve this for a one-year term?
You know, or if we can do it for a month, you know, if it takes a year to get an alternate system set up or to get bids, if it takes a year to do that, then we might as well sign the contract because I think we need the numbers in front of us on a monthly basis. I don't know if John's willing to do it on a month-to-month.
Whatever you guys wanna do, and I mean, you know, as we've talked about in the past, changing some of the reports, we're working on some of that stuff, so it's coming. We made some changes this month, as you know.
Right, the board
so-
packet had a lot less.
So we're willing to work with you guys to get to a point where we're giving you the information that you need to.
Okay, great, thank you.
Vince, if you would, we need to tag
You're
you
up.
up.
That being the case, John, if you're comfortable with a month
Yes.
to month, and we won't let this go on forever, but for the short term, let's say 2 to 3 months, at the revised rate of 700. Is that consistent with your, okay?
I left you,
For how
I
long?
left you everything there,
No,
Vince, so
just
just
month to month.
Okay.
scoop it up and run when you.
We won't name a term, but,
Right.
you know, we will hope to get this, we don't want this to go on forever,
No,
so.
no.
Let's make a mental note of 3 months from now, at the minimum, or at the maximum, I should say, we'll resolve this one way or the other, so, okay.
Fine with me?
I don't believe I need a motion on that. Great. I don't need to, okay. I gave everyone a little test here by skipping an agenda item, and no one realized we hadn't, so we did. Going back to 9A, contract with Dexter Township. Contract's in the book. This is a simple renewal. The only things that are changed is that this is for our purchase, or Dexter Township's purchase of our services for the kind of the southwest corner there. And the relevant, the clerk's name has changed, as well as the supervisor's name. And he's updated the taxable value. So I would ask that the board authorize me to sign that. The township is reviewing that tonight, I think. So we can get this signed right away. It actually started the 1st of January, but we'll use the same numbers until then. So,
I'd so
I'll
No.
second.
authorize Rob to.
okay,
Second.
moved and seconded. Further discussion, hearing none. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, same sign. A motion is agreed to authorize me to sign this contract. Okay, now, what everybody's been waiting for, dispatch arrangements. Just to set the stage is that for calls within the city, and this is primarily a city issue, I don't believe that I need to understand, the board needs to understand if there are any implications outside the city. But for calls within the city on landlines are currently handled by Chelsea Dispatch, which dispatches CAFA and HVA, and of course handles the police functions. CAFA, the Chelsea Dispatch is a primary PSAP, primary public safety access point. Jim has a proposal to modify that, and I guess with that, I'll just turn it over to you, Jim, and
Okay.
talk to us about why you.
First of all, what I'm gonna pass out is, this is the current, which is, we need to address, this is the current, contract with the city of, Chelsea for dispatch services. And what I'm passing out is the changes that, or the upgrades, I guess, if you will, that we proposed. I sent the current contract to your source, had them go through the language, they were okay with it. None of the language has been changed as far as the city of Chelsea, it still refers to the city of Chelsea.
We have none.
There should be,
Got extras?
He wants
Is
some
that-
extras.
I like Roger and.
I gave Roger one.
Okay. You got, okay, fine.
All right. So, I had them look at the language, and first of all, what I want to say is this is not about us being upset with Chelsea or anybody else, because in all honesty, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me who dispatches us. But collectively, this is the changes that we wanted to make, because the current contract has been in place forever, and it's pretty, it's pretty simplistic as far as what the requirements are. And so we wanted to, with the second station going on, looking at joint responses, and also you gotta take into consideration, every fire department in Washington County is part of central dispatch, which is HVA's dispatching. So that
It's Metro Dispatch.
HVA dispatches for all the fire departments in Washington County with the exception of us in Pittsfield Township. And Milan, okay. So anyways, that being said, what we were looking at is, we went from 5, and at 5, we actually dropped off one because incident issuing of burn ordinances or burn permits is something that we will deal with internally. But the ability to dispatch CAFA personnel to calls for service, both emergency and non-emergency in the CAFA service area. Ability to tone activate emergency personnel to respond to calls for service based on a predetermined geographical area and nature of the incident. Reporting and recording of incidents and times for incidents in the CAFA service area. Answering of 911 calls and phone calls for service and maintenance and operation of all required equipment. Have the ability at all times a dedicated dispatcher trained in emergency fire dispatch. Have the capability of providing computer-aided dispatch. Through the use of a standalone terminal, computer terminal, provide CAFA staff the ability to monitor active incidents, ongoing incidents. Have the ability of providing a rip and run notification system for the purpose of alerting personnel of request for service. And what that is the information is transmitted to a printer. The on-duty personnel are able to rip that off. It gives them the address, the run information, things like that. Radio communications capability for the purpose of dispatching and or alerting multiple fire departments and or stations and units to respond to the same incident. The ability to dispatch using the mutual aid Mavis box alarm system, which is what Washington County has just recently gone to. The ability to assign interop radio channels and an understanding of those available for emergency and non-emergency operations. So those were the changes that we are asking for. As I said, the language was reviewed. No change was made to anything that as far as a reference to Chelsea, because if Chelsea ends up continuing on, then it makes life pretty simple. Otherwise, we can make whatever changes are needed.
What, couple of clarifications. What specific of these 11 elements relate to the second station?
The ability of being able to notify multiple agencies or departments to respond to the same incident. Mutual aid system,
So you envision essentially that if it's whoever it is,
yes.
they would decide whether to dispatch the sub-engine from Lima or from the main station?
They would have the predetermined geographical area at their site, and
So
they would determine which truck goes, yes.
And that's the way you want to operate?
That's the way we do, that's the way you operate multiple stations. You predetermine that stations are primary response area,
It's cookie cutter.
and, pardon me?
It's geographical cookie
Yep,
cutter.
it is.
Regardless of what the status of your other engine is.
Yeah, we send the closest one goes. So if that's that particular truck, if it's a Lima Township station response and that truck is there, then it goes. And if it's out on something, then we send the next closest truck, whether that's us or it could be Dexter, it could be Sile.
So it's not exactly cookie cutter.
Right.
Okay. So it's, all right, number 9. Okay. Have you had a chance to look at this? Is this your first?
Yeah, I got this yesterday, so I looked it over, and I guess I'm just here, whatever the public wants and the service to the public is the best, that's what I support. I've been doing law enforcement for 31 years, and how we support the public, we want to do. What I am here to talk about is the city. The city handles the majority of medical emergencies and fire response, clearly, more than all the other townships put together. So what this means, if you go to an HVA dispatch, and HVA does an outstanding job. I work with Roger, who runs a tight ship over there, an excellent service. But what it means is, if you call 911 from a landline in the city, there will be a delay in service for both medical emergencies and fire response. Because we're going to triage it as soon as we figure it out. It's either HVA, which is medical, and it's a fire dual response between fire and HVA. Or if it's straight up fire, we're transferring that call out. We're not going to tone it out immediately like we currently do. We're going to send it over to HVA. Now, I haven't had a stopwatch on the system to determine exactly how many seconds that is, but it's somewhere. It could be 15, 30, 45, I don't know. It depends, but the call is going to go to HVA, who then will determine, ask the questions entered into CAD. So I thought it was incumbent upon me to bring it to your attention. There is going to be a delay to the citizens of the city if that change happens. And that's really all I have to say. There's some requests. I've researched some of these things, or some things that are doable, then I have to check if we can do the other thing. One of them has to do with the particular CAD system that HVA uses that we don't have. And that's that rip and run issue. That's something specific to them. But I did do some research on emergency fire dispatch. We've had 2 of our people that went through that. With that, you have to have a certification, then you recertify every 2 years. The other 2 fire dispatch, which is Pittsfield, which is a public safety, none of their dispatchers are emergency fire dispatch trained, along with Milan. They also aren't trained. So something specific to HVA, or it's called HVA anymore or not? Emergent health. Emergent health. So specific to that dispatch center. That is doable. There are some trainings, whether it's through PowerPhone, has an online service, we can get everybody trained. There's another service that would be a little bit more difficult. We'd have to host the training because in 2015 it looks like there's no training scheduled in the state of Michigan. So anyhow, it would be a little bit different as far as the immediate response that you currently have. Because currently, right now, if you call in 805 West Middle, medical emergency, what we do is we one-button transfer it, and we're immediately toning the fire department out, right now, getting them going over that medical emergency. And then the call goes over to HVA, they send the ambulance. What would happen, we would not tone anything, we were just going to immediately transfer it over. So I don't know if you have any specific questions on this issue, but I look at that, I've been the chief here for 8.5 years. In the early 90s, I ran Metro Dispatch, which is different than HVA Dispatch. I was operational supervisor, And one of the things I do have to say here is we provide a service that's second to none. When it comes to citizens, I look at citizens' complaints as far as how we're doing both on the police side, dispatch side, and then probably in 8 years I've handled maybe 5 of them. I handle 5 a day at my prior job in the early 90s, maybe more. And so we aren't so busy that we can take the time with people. So I just looked at, before someone went off and made a change, I want to know, what would be the purpose? Just to change, or is there a service issue, or what's actually going on? Because I look out for what's the best of our citizens in town here. But thank you very much.
Any questions for the chief? Go ahead, Tom.
You have computers in your squad cars, right?
Correct.
If there was computers in the fire trucks, would that system know?
Well, normally if you have that system, we can then, it's like, we're on the Columbus system, which is the courts and law enforcement system out of Oakland County. There is a fire dispatch module, but I don't think anybody in this county uses it. They use something else.
Pittsfield started to use it, but I think they dropped it.
Yeah. So it's like anything else. If the fire service goes to a certain dispatch service or CAD system, and I'm not even sure what CAD system is being currently used, we could do it. I just have to look at what's the cost of doing it, who supports it.
Roger, your system's all tied into Firehouse, which, right, correct, which is everything that most of the fire departments, including us, are using right now, so.
Did you have any other specific, Roger, give you a chance to weigh in here with your general comments on this, anything Jim has said or Ed has said?
We're happy to help out in any way we can. We've discussed this in the past. The one thing that is not changed and actually has gone down is the cost of dispatching for us to do it, because we've brought on Ann Arbor Fire. They were the last department that we brought on. So the cost right now, I asked Kevin, our dispatch manager, yesterday, and he was in between meetings, so he couldn't give me an exact figure, but it's less than $17 per dispatch. And I don't know what your volume is here, but obviously if you take 1,000 calls a year, that's going to be $17,000 or less than that, 16.8, whatever. It's less than $17 per call. And as far as all the electronics, everything we do in there is all computer time stamped and everything else, so we can tell you. I think right now the average time of call till completion of the call for the dispatch part of it is about 36 seconds. That's getting all the information and dispatching. The benefit that we have that Ed doesn't have, and this is not any stab at him, is we have in the middle of the night, we got about 8 people sitting in the dispatch center. During the day, we got 12